So this video is going to be different for a few reasons. Number one, I'm actually holding the microphone. Number two, this is more of me talking than me running down a list. What's up, everybody? This is Azure Tony. And today, I'm going to talk about some memories of the Super Nintendo. Now, I first played Super Nintendo over at somebody's house, and the first thing I ever played was Final Fantasy III, which was also my introduction to the Moogle, which I still love my Moogles. I had zero idea what a Moogle was at that time. I just said that the cute little white guy. Though, of course, I could be talking about Locke, but yeah, that's a different thing for a different time. I really can't be talking about Locke. The arts on him was not that great. If there's anybody that would fall under that, would probably be Saban, just because, what's better than a big hulking mofo that can suplex a train? But anyway, so after that, I didn't have another experience with the Super Nintendo until my then best friend, who we ended up growing apart, but my best friend for many years, I had gone over to his house, and he actually had an extra Super Nintendo. I can't tell you why, because I don't think I ever questioned it, to be honest with you. But he actually gave me the extra Super Nintendo. And we spent quite a few days playing Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter against each other. Normally it was me getting my behind kicked because I didn't know what I was doing yet, versus somebody who actually did know what they were doing. And he instilled in me a lesson that I unfortunately still keep when playing with people, which is you don't go easy on somebody just because they don't know what they're doing. You give them the business, no matter how good or how bad they are. You give them the business all the time. So anyway, I ended up getting a bunch of games at it was then called Funko Land. Now we know it as GameStop. And I made a huge mistake. See, I'm a gigantic wrestling fan. And back then, we had the WWF, which is now the WWE, and we had WCW. Well, you see, WCW had a very bad wrestling game on the Super Nintendo, WCW Super Brawl. And I made the mistake of paying $40 for it, which back then, $40 for a used game at Funko Land was a lot. It used to be you could tell a game's quality based on how much it costs that Funko Land used. For instance, while most of the Nintendo games were $10 or less, your Dragon Warriors were 2, 3, and 4 anyway, were always higher priced. Which I never actually got them at the time because they were just too much money. But anyway, back to the Super Nintendo. So I got a ton of games. And when I say a ton of games, I mean, like 6. I was 13, 12, something like that at the time. And that was a lot of games. I had gotten, I remember I gotten the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Tournament Fighters. I got Street Fighter 2 Turbo Edition, NBA Jam Tournament Edition, Final Fight, and like two, possibly three others. No, let me take that back. I got Final Fight at a pawn shop about a couple months later. But, what turned out to be one of my favorite games is the NBA Jam Tournament Edition. It turned out that was going to end up being one of my favorite games on the Super Nintendo. It's still, in my head, you can hear it at any time. He's on fire! And all the weird different dunks that you could pull off, especially when you were on fire. Years later, we had a release on the PS3 and 360 era for both that and NFL Blitz. But again, we're not talking about that. We're talking about a Super Nintendo. So the Super Nintendo was also my first console I ever emulated. This is back in 99. I had a Mac from school for reasons I won't go into, that I was finishing that semester at home from high school. And I had a Mac because that's what we used back then. Everybody, used Macs. Windows PCs were not what was being used, at least at my school. At least at my school, everything was Mac. And the first thing I emulated, my boy D, my best friend at the time, turned me on to Chrono Trigger, which was the first thing I ever emulated and probably one of my favorite RPGs that I've ever emulated. Years later, I actually owned it on the Nintendo DS. And I think I still have the Super Famicom version of it. But the actual Super Nintendo cartridge is just too much money these days. Even before COVID, it was too much money. And of course, now that I said the magic C word, YouTube's going to kill this video. But, yeah. Unlike there's a comment that was said when I was talking about why I disappeared for a while. They called me anything for views. And I'm like, if I was anything for views, I'd be doing a lot more of the type of stuff that gets a ton of views. Oops. What happened? Okay. Now we're back. And sorry about that. It just froze there for a second. I think it just did it again. I think that there's something with OBS acting up. But yeah. My memories of the... Hello? Yeah, it's acting up really weirdly right now. See, this is why I say I don't edit out things for the Beyond the controller because it's bloopers. It's random crap. I know some people really don't want to see the extras and want to see it all nice and pretty and polished, but that ain't me. I ain't pretty or polished. Well, I am pretty, but that's a different thing entirely. But anyway, back to the Super Nintendo. Let's see if I still have it over here. Yes, I do. I still have my one total inbox game, which is one of my favorite series of puzzles games that there is out there. And some people will see this and have a conniption fit, but I don't care. This is my only complete inbox Super Nintendo game. Lemmings. Great game from Sunsoft. Great puzzle game. If you've never tried it, definitely recommend trying it. But yeah, there's been a lot of good memories came out of the Super Nintendo. And I'm curious, what are y'all's memories? What sticks with you if you had the Super Nintendo back in the day like me? Or, if you're someone who discovered it more recently, tell me about your memories. Tell me about what makes the Super Nintendo special to you. Because the Super Nintendo will always hold a special place in my heart. Not just because it was the first system that I was ever gifted and completely bought my own library for, but because, well, it's awesome. And hopefully this doesn't get screwed up when I'm trying to put everything together because of the weird the stop and go. But if it does, hey, it's beyond a controller. It's what happens. So anyway, as always, this has been Azure Tony. Today we talked about some fun and gaming, and I hope you enjoyed yourselves too. Take care of yourselves and take care of each other. I'll catch you next time. Arigatou gozaimasu.